The PS4 was a fantastic console, a platform that both indie and AAA games flocked to and shined on. Bolstered by a varied lineup of first-party exclusives, Sony's fourth console commanded the attention of gamers for the past 7 years. While the PS4's success was undeniably a good thing for Sony, it leaves the company with the tough challenge of topping itself. With the PS5, instead of simply releasing a new console with more horsepower, Sony has taken a bold step to clearly establish that this is a brand new generation. The PS5's console design speaks to this, looking less like a PlayStation and more like an evil megacorp cyberpunk headquarters. It's a brash design that looks nice when standing tall and a little strange when resting on its side, but in either orientation, it's undeniably eye-catching. The next generation machine is big, bold, and next to stablemates like the PS4 Pro, downright intimidating. Though it may be a cold behemoth in its stature, the PS5 is also warm and inviting when turned on. The menus create a sense of familiarity that helps users get their feet planted, but it's also stripped down and streamlined. Installed games stand in a line of up to 9 titles on the homepage, capped off by a library button that reveals your full collection. This is similar to the PS4, though unfortunately there's currently no way to organize these games at launch. Whatever was used most recently shows up first, and there are no folders. Sorting sizable libraries by platform is easy though, allowing you to parse which games are native to the PS5 in just a few button presses. Navigating the PS5's user interface is just as easy. Being able to quickly slide in and out of specific sections, back to your game, and then into the deeper system settings feels more fluid, and doing all of this with the new DualSense controller is a delight. It's slightly bigger than the DualShock 4 and features new ergonomics. This extends to the shoulder buttons and triggers, which are now thicker and feel smoother to press. The directional pad and face buttons also feel less stiff, and while the analog sticks are the same size as the DualShock 4s, they feature more grip and a slightly more concave form factor, making them easier to hold onto. Sony requires you to use the DualSense for all PS5 games, relegating backwards compatible controllers strictly to PS4 titles. This may reek of a company pushing a gimmick, but after weeks of testing the controller's unique features, the DualSense's haptic feedback and adaptive triggers have proven themselves to be much more than that. Astro's Playroom comes with every PS5, and not only is it an enjoyable bite-sized platformer, but it's also a fantastic showpiece for the DualSense controller. As Astro's little robot feet walk on metal floors, over a sandy beach, or across an icy surface, you feel the difference in impact thanks to the enhanced haptic feedback. But where the DualSense truly impresses is with its adaptive triggers. When Astro comes across weapons like a bow or a minigun, the triggers react in kind to differentiate how it feels to use them. Drawing the bow's string instills tension into the trigger, while firing the minigun causes it to pop back as each bullet fires. The DualSense delivers a tangible sensation that enhances the enjoyment of an already cute and charming platformer. Then there's Spider-Man, where the DualSense's unique features are utilized in more subtle ways. Feeling the subway tracks beneath you as Spider-Man hitches a ride, or hitting the small cushion of feedback when pulling the triggers to web swing isn't as pronounced as what you'll feel in Astro's Playroom, but it is enough to bring your hands and what's happening on screen a little closer together. Using the DualSense is a pleasant experience, and I look forward to playing with it more. Like many console-specific features, it all depends on how developers utilize it. My hope is that we continue to see developers put them to good use, because so far, when the DualSense's potential is utilized, it creates tactile experiences that enhance games in surprisingly meaningful ways. The PS4 Pro was able to deliver some excellent gaming experiences, but players were often asked to choose between visuals and performance, sacrificing one for the other. While these types of options are again available in some PS5 games, the system is better equipped to provide a more ideal experience no matter your particular preference. As you'd expect, the PS5 boasts much more powerful specs than its predecessor. These afford the console enough power to run a high-speed open-world game like Spider-Man Miles Morales at 4K and a solid 30 frames per second with ray tracing enabled, or in a performance mode that enables the game to run at 4K and a solid 60 frames per second with ray tracing disabled. Both modes are immensely impressive, even to someone who spends most of his time gaming on a high-end PC. With ray tracing enabled, seeing the sun peek at you between New York high-rises or even catching the reflection of the city in the glass windows of a building is enough to inspire you to stop swinging and just look around. And at the same time, running a game at 4K and 60 frames per second and still getting a gorgeous image is incredibly exciting. Both graphics modes make Miles Morales feel like a next-gen game, because while you're definitely trading visuals for performance, neither mode feels like a compromise. Third-party games offering even more options that work just as well, such as 120Hz support, help prove that the PS5 is a huge step up over the PS4 Pro. Yes, the PS5's power is impressive, but the console's tech headliner is a custom solid-state drive that weighs in at 825GB and read speeds of 5.5GB per second. This is quick storage, outmatching most SSDs you can currently buy on the market. And Spider-Man Miles Morales serves as a great test case for this speed. Loading into the new web-slinging adventure from the homepage takes less than 10 seconds, and once you're swinging around Manhattan, you'll only wait a couple more to fast travel anywhere around the huge open world. This stark improvement ensures you're spending more time playing and less time waiting for the game to load, but it also benefits the actual streaming of the open world. I encountered no stuttering at all during my time with it. Now, Sony requires all PS5 games to run off this internal SSD. This ensures that these next-gen experiences have the bandwidth they need. But with this requirement and the ever-growing sizes of games, that puts the SSD's storage space at a premium. After system data and updates, you have about 667GB for your games. This wouldn't be as big of a problem if you could store games on an external drive and transfer them to the console when you want to play them. Unfortunately, the PS5 is not capable of this at launch. For now, you can only use external drives for playing backwards compatible PS4 games. The SSD also plays a huge part in some of the PS5's unique smart features. Pressing the home button on the DualSense controller pops up the control center. This menu displays a number of activities that show available challenges, trophies, and even your progress at a specific level in supported games. What makes this a particularly compelling feature is that the available activities adapt to your game as you play, offering up-to-date help and suggestions. Selecting a specific level or challenge pushes the game to load it immediately, and the SSD handles this quickly. Using this, I completed all of Spider-Man's stealth challenges without needing to travel through the open world to each mission marker. The most helpful aspect of these activities is the inclusion of video guides. Near the end of my time with Astro's Playroom, I was struggling to find the few remaining collectibles. Astro tells you exactly which sections you're missing a collectible in, and selecting that specific section's card brings up the option for a video guide. The PS5 knew exactly which collectible I was missing and showed me a short 10-second video of where I could find it. Of course, this will only work with supported games, but hopefully developers will flock to this new feature, because when it's used well, it improves the overall experience. Sony has loaded the PS5 with a slate of accessibility options at launch. These include the ability to lessen the DualSense's effects, enable a text-to-speech screen reader, transcribe voice chat, and turn on video captions. These features are accurate to their descriptions and work quite well. These features show a significant improvement over what the PS4 offered at launch, and will no doubt be appreciated by users who are now being given more opportunity to experience games and use the PS5 in a way that's comfortable for them. With more people being able to use the PS5 from the get-go, you hope that Sony will continue to iterate on these options and evolve its support as the console grows. Additionally, the PS5 allows for setting your difficulty, graphics mode, language, subtitles preference, and inverted camera controls at the system level, the latter of which can bypass specific game settings if they don't offer inverted controls. For users that need this for the most comfortable gaming experience, it's a nice feature to have. Some of these other settings, however, will depend on if the game supports those options. Some games don't have difficulty settings or graphics modes, and some don't have subtitles or any other language but English. This is a great feature for the PS5, so hopefully developers take note and work to support it. Throughout this year, Sony has touted its Tempest 3D audio tech, which will only be available for headphones at launch. After a few weeks of testing, I'm left a little underwhelmed. What I've noticed so far from the PS5's 3D audio tech is that it provides a slight boost to directional audio. This was the most pronounced in the SSD Speedway level of Astro's Playroom, where cars fly by you as you glide through the opening area. The engines of the speeding vehicles sound louder and more distinct, almost as if they are narrowly missing your head. 3D audio generally works quite well with first-person games like shooters and quieter horror games like the Resident Evil series. However, games need to support the PS5's 3D audio tech to take full advantage of it, so we weren't able to test examples of either genre ahead of launch. As it is, the 3D audio is a bonus that doesn't necessarily feel essential or substantially different for any experience I've had so far. However, it doesn't make the audio worse and is also compatible with any headset that works with the PS5, so there's really no reason not to use it. Sony has said that the PS5's backwards compatibility doesn't support 100% of the PS4's library, but it's slightly more complicated than that. The PS5 is capable of playing the vast majority of the PS4's best games, but they may not behave quite like they did on the original console. Starting up Resident Evil 7, we immediately noticed a visual glitch dominating the sky above the baker's house. Instead of the hazy clouds blocking out the Louisiana sun, the sky looked like an oil painting. Aside from some minor glitches, however, playing backwards compatible games on the PS5 is very similar to playing them on the PS4. I was able to download my PS4 saves from the cloud and continue my arcane build in Bloodborne, carry on with my assault on the invading Mongols in Ghost of Tsushima, and finally get back to playing my God of War save. All of the PS4 games we tested showcased frame rates in line with, or in some cases improved over the original console. To see how the PS5's power is utilized by backwards compatible games, we sought out titles that released with uncapped frame rates. Two prominent examples were capped in an update due to performance issues, which meant we had to find physical copies, which let us disconnect from the internet and play unpatched. Batman Return to Arkham put up a poor performance in Arkham City's open world on the PS4. Starting it up on the PS5, the system flashed a warning message, specifically stating this game may not behave correctly on the new console. Batman Return to Arkham was the only game that we came across to display this message, but we didn't notice much in terms of bizarre behavior. However, its performance as a whole is disappointing, with noticeable drops in the frame rate as you fly around the open world. It's hard to pinpoint if this is a compatibility problem or an issue with the game itself, as further tests prove the PS5 is capable of improving and stabilizing uncapped frame rates. Assassin's Creed Unity was a great example of this. The PS5 offers a much smoother experience here, with similar improvements to those Digital Foundry found when testing the game on the Xbox Series X. The PS5 keeps the frame rate going strong no matter what you do. This is a monumental improvement over what we saw at the game's launch in 2014, and while you will come across bugs here and there, it's still very playable without any patches. Surprisingly, load times don't see as big an improvement as we expected. When compared to the PS4, the PS5's internal SSD has marked, if not drastic, improvements in multiple games like Bloodborne and Final Fantasy VII Remake. When compared to the Xbox Series X's internal storage, however, a different picture gets painted. On the PS5, Final Fantasy XV takes 1 minute and 10 seconds from launch to gameplay. This beats out the PS4, which comes in at almost 3 minutes, but doesn't match up to the Series X, which only takes 43 seconds to perform the same task. Likewise, Monster Hunter World took 51 seconds on the PS5 and only 29 on the Series X. PS5 compatibility patches are where the big gains are seen. Days Gone and Ghost of Tsushima have been upgraded to take advantage of the new hardware, and both games have noticeable performance boosts. Days Gone is now much smoother, targeting 60 frames per second with a dynamic 4K resolution. Ghost of Tsushima sees a similar boost in frame rate with the resolution mode, making the performance mode feel unnecessary on the PS5. These patches bring these PS4 games in line with the performance and fidelity of PS5 titles, giving new life to games that deserved stronger hardware in the first place. At launch, the PS5 is an excellent console that paves the way for a promising future where gaming experiences can evolve in interesting ways and the process of experiencing them is streamlined. Its custom SSD, unique DualSense controller, and powerful specs draw a distinct line between last generation and the next. Faster loading times and system features like the PS5's activities make the SSD feel essential, while the DualSense's substantial feedback makes a strong case for moving on from the DualShock 4. Of course, the performance and visuals that the PS5 is capable of pushing offer excellent experiences no matter what graphics mode you prefer. And even though its backwards compatibility implementation isn't perfect, it's still exciting to know that I can play most of my PS4 library on this new console with few, if any, issues. I even tested Guitar Hero Live, which, thank God, works very well. Of course, the PS5 can't survive on its backwards compatible games alone, and all consoles ultimately come down to the quality of their dedicated libraries. Beyond that, many of the console's best features, such as the adaptive triggers and activities, require developers to opt in and support them. Sony has laid strong foundations for its new generation of gaming, but it's now up to developers to use all the tools laid out for them to build upon it. With what we've seen so far from the console's hardware, and games like Spider-Man and Astro, this next generation has the potential to be great for PlayStation. And I'm excited to see it.